I'm here with Nicki Sun.
Hi.
Is your birth name Nicki, or did you give yourself that?
My birth name is actually Nicole.
Oh, Nicole. Ah.
But I've always been called Nicki. Like
Nicki.
every time, if your mom says you're in trouble, that she calls you by your full name.
That's true.
And I always thought I was in trouble. So I've been called Nicki or Nick for the longest time. But in Chinese, I think Nick means bitter. So my grandma, every time my mom would call me Nick, she said, I don't like it. You're calling her bitter. So it became Nicki.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. In Cantonese, right? Nick?
In Cantonese, I believe. I think
so.
Nick means bitter.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm not a bitter person. I'm not bitter. Don't call me that.
Wow. So you've been in Hollywood for 5 years.
I guess you could say Hollywood, but I would say more Los Angeles, because when I first moved here, I thought I was going to do entertainment, but then I was presented with a job opportunity at Google, and I was like, the Asian in me wanted to always be like, I love tech. The thing about me is I love tech. I've always loved tech. I've always been that person to fix all the classroom's problems when we were like presenting in class. I'm like, I got it. And so I was like, I've always wanted to work at Google, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to put entertainment on hold yet again and do Google. And I don't regret it because it allowed me to stay in LA more, because you got to make sure you save up before you move, because my heart was set on not going back until I made something of myself. And so I'm glad I'm here and figuring it all out.
Wow. So, I mean, the fact that you were at Google's like the Harvard of all companies, right? So that's amazing.
It was fun. I mean, they definitely asked those weird questions that you hear about in the interviews, like, how many quarters does it take to stack to the moon? And just a hint, if you guys would want to work at Google, it's all about the thought process. They don't really care about the answer. They want to know how you would come to get it. Like, let me first measure the quarter, or, let me Google that for you. I mean, they want to just understand your thought process. They don't care about the answer.
Yeah, they don't care about the right answer. So is this, I'm really into this now, is it a question about estimation, like how you estimate?
No, it's purely how you would think, and they want you to think out loud.
Oh, interesting.
Because even, how you would think out loud, like, because we did it in group interviews too. It wasn't one-on-one. It was a group interview, and they preface it right away. It's like, we can take all of you, so don't try to feel like you're competing against each other. Like, we can hire all of you. Like, it's not about, that kind of competition that people like to drive in job interviews. But, even asking your peers, like, so I know you do this for a living, like, blah, blah, blah. Just like, just understanding, and who you would invite over for dinner and why, and dead or alive, and it's just those kind of questions. And they want to see how you react under pressure.
Wow.
It's not really about the answer. I mean, the answer is a cool part, but they're gonna see how you think under pressure.
I see. And the key is you passed all of that, and then
I guess so. Like, I literally, because so the funny thing, because I'm originally from San Francisco, so 26 miles is like half an hour for me. But in Los Angeles, I did not know the bad traffic. So when I first moved here, I was told to move to Burbank. Google was in Venice Beach.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was like almost a 2-hour drive every day. Yeah. And so when I was leaving the office for the interview, I hadn't even made it home yet, and then they called me to give me a job offer. That's how long the commute was. So I was like, well, it's gonna be a long commute, but I've always wanted to work at Google, so.
And this was back before Google built the whole campus at Playa Vista, right?
No, yeah, I was at the one. Yeah, that's YouTube too. YouTube is the one in Playa Vista, but I guess now that they own YouTube, so. But I would go there too to give demos and stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow. Was it at Google that you really discovered you also want to really get into entertainment, or what was?
No, it was before that. It was before that. But I will say I had a really cool, fun job at Google. I could say it. I was on the Google Glass team, the wearable eye computers, and so part of us, we had to basically give white glove service to a lot of the celebrities and influencers who were getting these glasses, and they were really expensive, but to beta test. Obviously the program's not around right now anymore, but we were seeing like Harry Shum Jr. walk in, iJustine coming in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. I don't know. It just made me feel like, man, I'm like this close to entertainment again. And I'm like, I know that there's something always in me that always wanted to feel how I could fit in this puzzle piece and still feel significant, you know. There's sometimes doing stuff in Hollywood that you feel very insignificant at times. But the biggest thing is, if you're passionate about it, be passionate about it, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And when did you decide, okay, I'm going to just go for it?
Oh, I don't know. This past year, actually. So I was working full-time job, and I've always put my side passions, my passions to the side. I've never done it 100%. I think, you know, growing up in a very, I don't want to say stereotypical, because my mom was not a tiger mom. Like, my dad actually was like the one telling me to do entertainment, you know, just be smart about it, you know. So I've always had that support system. So for me, it was all on me in terms of, like, I want to do good. Like, I always came home with good grades because I wanted to do good. Like, I didn't have to be threatened to, like, take my internet. I mean, if anything, my mom was like, I guess you can't read at night. Like, I was such a nerd. I was always trying to do, like, extracurricular activities and stuff like that. But I really liked performing, and I would always get so shy and nervous performing. But after I did it, I'm glad, like, my parents made me do it, or like I'm glad my friends made me do it. So I know that that's how I'm going to feel. It's like, I might feel anxious about certain things, but I know I'll be glad that I did it.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I feel like it started, you know, 10 years ago in the Bay. Working with a nonprofit called the Asian American Donor Program. My dad was diagnosed with cancer at that time, and I wanted to learn more about why there wasn't a lot of Asians on the registry. Because when you're diagnosed with a blood type cancer, you have to get a match or stem cells from someone within your own community, and less than 17% of the time you can find one within your family.
Oh, that's interesting.
So the thing is, you know, we have 1 in 200,000 chance as Chinese to find somebody on the registry, whether as a Caucasian person has 1 in 15 chances of finding.
Wow,
so we need more Asian Americans on the registry. So I got into it because I wanted to do videos, and I was like, well, how can I get people to care about this if they don't have someone in their family affecting? So that's when I kind of blended, hey, I know Quest Crew from ABDC.
Oh,
if I could film Quest Crew just swabbing their cheek and getting on the registry and showing other people how easy it is, maybe people would care. And I did that video, and it got like a couple thousand views, and then it was like, you know, a way to finally get the word out in a informative but entertaining way. And I knew that if I had that passion for why I wanted to do videos, that would stick with me of why I do videos today. I just want to always support my communities, push representation forward, push our voices forward, so we don't see things like on the screen that are not representative of us, or that are very stereotypical and very negative portrayals of us. So, you know, whether I can do that behind the camera or in front of the camera, I just want to always be a positive voice for Asian Americans in general, and women, Asian American women. So.
And I talk about Quest Crew. They came to University of Pennsylvania in 2010 to perform. That's how I found out about them. It's a small world. That's awesome that you filmed them.
That was the first one that I ever did, and I was hooked. I was like, okay, I need to do some kind of broadcasting thing. I need to figure it out, because nobody wanted to cover stories with Asian voices. You know, we weren't like celebrities to certain people, but like they're celebrities to me. I mean, like, I look like you look like me. I like You know, I appreciate that a lot more. Yeah.
So, what has been a major challenge since you decided to go for it?
I don't know if the challenge, my biggest challenge is has always been me. I've always been like a very practical, like stability kind of person, like doing a full-time job. And I was at a full-time job for the past 3 years. And while I loved it, it was more a video producing job. I got to call the shots. I was a one-woman band. I got to work with 50 artists a year and like film them, interview them, like take care of the lighting and edit and put it up and market it and do all the social media. Like, I loved it. But there was a part of me too that missed kind of the entertainment part of it. Like, I was watching all these performers on the stage and I was helping them create the videos, but I was like, well, I feel like I'm still missing something. And then Crazy Rich Asians happened. Asian August happened. Searching happened. To All the Boys I Loved happened. And I was like, this is the time to like, it just re-energize and revitalize what I feel like I've been missing. It's like the purpose to do, like, what was the purpose for why I did what I did. It just re-energized everything. And I kind of just went for it after that point. There was just some time it was just missing.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone in LA who's going for it has that little, maybe you could call it crisis of faith or crisis of conscience. And I think the key is, one is just keep moving forward. And two is if you surround yourself with the right people, it really helps.
But I knew that I was always working towards something. The way that I thought of it was this, like, I know that I have the skills to like not ever have a job, right? I mean, I'm trying not to brag in that sense. I'm not trying to come off like that. But I'm saying in life is so short. And I learned that. My dad passed away 3 years ago. And so I, at that moment, realized that life is short. And he always said that, you know. And the thing is, I can go back. If I don't make it or do what I love and, you know, make it, become successful at it, I can always go back to a 9-to-5 corporate job, you know, then whatever. But how many people can actually say I went for my dreams?
Yep, exactly.
You know? And even though it can be very crazy lonely and sometimes scary at times when you're not getting a job, the times that you do, remember that it's so much more rewarding than those times that you're like sitting behind a cubicle and figuring out like, this is not what I wanted to do with my life. So yeah, I really praise all the entrepreneurs or those who are like trying to find their own and forge their own paths, like you, right? Thanks. So I love surrounding myself with those type-minded people, for sure. And
you grow a lot more personality-wise. So even if you do return to the corporate world, let's say in 5 or 10 years, hopefully not, you're just a different person than if you stayed in the corporate world for those 5 to 10 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, doing the free gigs, you know, in the beginning has influenced the ability to say no now, you know, like I can't imagine doing any free gigs anymore unless you're like a really good friend and like the project fits whatever and it's going to go somewhere. But I can't imagine, like I'm thinking about myself like 10 years ago, I said yes to a lot of things. I was like, sure, it's an opportunity. Sure, it's an opportunity. But now you have to be very mindful with your time and how you present yourself to the world and what you take. There's some things too that I reject, even though it's good money, but it's like it would totally be the antithesis of who I am.
And I think by going for it, you also learn to stand up for yourself more, because every person who's gone for it has probably fell or been taken advantage of. So if you do exit this entrepreneurial world and get back into the corporate world, you will stand up for yourself much more, because you're like, you know, there was a time when this happened and I stood up. Oh, this stupid coworker giving me some, I don't care. I'll stand up to him or her.
Yeah. That's the thing. At the end of the day, I know that life is short. I always like what Will Smith said one time, like the opposite, when you can learn to get on the opposite side of fear, like that's when you're living. And my thing is like, I was the biggest challenge to myself because I have a great support system of like a great family that believe in me. But it's always been me like, oh, well, what if I don't make it? What if I don't do this? But what if you do? And I think that's the side that I would encourage other people to discover and learn and explore. It's like, what if you do make it? You know, not what if you don't, you know, and if you don't do it, that's fine. But obviously be smart about it, be practical about it. Like, you know, save up, you know, and, you know, feel like you're going to have at least some buffer period and find another skill that you could possibly do. So for me, that was producing videos and editing for other people. You know how many people want videos now and editing and social media? Like I did social media and did not know that would be a job. Like 7 years ago, if you told me what I was doing is social media, I'm like, what is that? You know, like I could get paid for this. So there's a lot of things that are not discovered yet. That's why I say it's like, well, if you don't know what you want to do, maybe what you want to do hasn't really been unearthed or discovered yet. And that's a possibility too. So I would feel like if you were like me, like a couple of months ago, just down in my luck and not feeling, what do I do? I'm not happy. What do I do? Well, definitely build a plan for yourself, set some goals, and just give yourself an opportunity. Even if it's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, completely go cold turkey and just like do it,
Yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah.
Because you learn so much even if you fail. And that's the thing, is you have to fail in order to learn.
Yeah,
So.
totally. And you look at all the famous entrepreneurs, anyone who's done anything, they've probably fallen 100 times.
Oh yeah.
Right? Our President Trump's probably one of the few who hasn't fallen because he was given like 100 million by his dad. So
Oh my gosh.
it's hard to fall when you have 100 million.
Yeah. You don't know how to get back up sometimes until you fail. And that's the thing, is I always was that person, like, I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, fail and then learn from it. It's how you get back up.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the judge of your character.
Yeah, totally. So let's talk about Catherine Ho. How did you get to know Catherine Ho? I love her. She's a great singer, and I filmed her randomly one time when she was performing at the Arcadia Night Market. So how did you get to know her?
Well, how did you get to know me? Because that's the same exact tactics I learned. So a lot of people ask, how do you get to interview all these people like Jeremy Lin? And, I just ask. And like I said, like I apply the same principle. The worst thing that can happen, they can say no.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But the best thing that they could say is yes.
Yeah.
So after watching the movie, I realized that a lot of the attention was placed on the cast and the creators, which, obviously amazing. But another character of the movie was music. And I'm like, who are these amazing singers? I had interviewed Kina Grannis before, so I'm like, I know Kina Grannis, the one who sang the wedding song. And I'm like, well, there's another singer in here that is just, I don't know, it would play during the most pivotal moments of the movie, and I'm like, I have to know who she is. So I typed in her name, I typed in Yellow Crazy Rich Asians Chinese version, and then I saw nothing come up. And I saw Catherine Ho. I looked up on the IMDb or the discography, I can never pronounce that word, but to see who it was, and I was like, okay. But nothing came up. There was no articles on her, nothing. And then so I obviously did the social media route. I found her on Instagram and I just typed in her name. And then I saw a name kind of it. And I was like, well, it doesn't say in her bio that she was. But then I saw my friend Tractivist, my friend Richie, he runs an Asian American radio station called Tractivist. And he also followed her. So I'm like, okay, so it must be somewhat her. And then she did say she was at USC. So I'm like, okay, this has to be her. So I just reached out and DM'd her. And then I was like, hey, I love like the song. And I don't know if you've been reached out to, but I would love to do an interview. And then it was just so humbling. She's like, oh my God, I love what you're doing for the community. She's like, I've watched your videos and I like inspired by a lot of the people that you interview.
Wow.
And so it was just really going out on a limb, trying to find her, really wanting to share her story and asking. And then on top of that, I was like, well, wouldn't it be neat if we did the interview in the actual room you like recorded your demo in?
Yeah.
She's like, what? Yeah. So it was a trip for her to go back in the room that she interviewed in or did her demo in, and she got to kind of feel the nostalgic of that room. But that's how it happened, really. And I see her like obviously at every single event. I was just that unforgettable presenting on stage the awards to the cast of Crazy Rich Asians. And while they were going up on stage, Catherine Ho was singing with the live band the song Yellow. So it's just like a moment.
Wow.
But yeah, you create the moments for yourself.
Exactly.
Right? So you got to ask, you got to put yourself out there. And like I said, the worst thing they could say is no. She could have said no to me. She's like, who's this person reaching out to me? And I don't know, maybe that's another thing too, as a female, when I reach out, it's like, oh, I'm like unassuming,
exactly.
I can be like, sweet little thing, I'm not trying to kill you or murder you. But
I think even for a lot of Asian guys, that's something like usually our society's impression of us is we're not a threat. So you could probably, I'm just being honest, sometimes a lot of times they're negative stereotypes, but you can play on them and you could get places too.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, I don't look like I can hurt a fly. So like if I reach out to people, they'll probably be like, oh yeah, this guy.
Well, the thing is like, I check your channel to see if you're, right? That's the thing. It's like before you reach out to people that may be a little bit more attainable, build your channel first. You make sure, how are you branding yourself to other people? Are you providing a quality interview, a quality recording, a quality broadcast, whatever, because that's what they're going to look at before they say yes. So the great thing is that you and I both have that on our
Yeah.
existing channels because we've created it and we've been doing it for a long time. So it's more legit when you come off that way.
Exactly. And that's a great lesson for everyone. I tell everyone who watches my channel, you got to spend some time building.
We're inventing words
No,
here.
I am, because I was combining build and brand.
Yeah.
Building, that's a new word. You got to spend time building. Seriously, because everyone, the first thing they do, like when Nicki says, they're going to search you up. Okay? And if they search you up, hopefully they'll be able to understand you a little bit.
Yeah, and hopefully they're not spelling my name wrong.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of good lessons. And so, Nicki, what is your plan next? I mean, you got your business and everything. Do you have any special projects or anything next?
Well, it's so interesting because a lot of people have said, so in the new year, what are you going to do? Are you going to focus more in being in front of the camera or being behind the camera? And I say both. Ultimately, I would like to continue my YouTube channel, but kick it up. I'd like to start a Patreon. So at least, because I know like the view counts on YouTube, we do this out of passion, at least I do.
Yeah.
I don't get paid to do my interviews, but I know there's a lot of people who would support if I were to continue doing it. And that's what I need at this point.
Yeah.
I need kind of like monetary support to keep this going, getting the gear and stuff like that. But at the same time, building up my tech channel because I work behind the scenes a lot. And I want to show that there's a lot of women like us that are capable and able and really talented. Yeah. And I really want to focus. It's always been about focusing and pushing voices forward to those who feel marginalized. And if that's women behind the camera and Asian women on screen or Asian men on screen, like I just want to be able to be a force.
Yeah, exactly.
A force.
A force.
And
what is your tech channel?
It's gonna be the same. So that's the thing. A lot of people say you should start a separate channel, but I'm like, well, Nicki Sun, that's kind of my brand though.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I will. Oh, I see. This is the other Nicki Sun.
Make sure you spell my name right, because if you spell it with 2 Ks, it is a porn star. And the good thing is that at least you're not gonna get confused because she's white and I'm Asian.
So, just from my branding perspective, I actually do also second what people say. I would say start a new channel for your tech too. And the reason is because everyone that's subscribing to you right now, they want to see interviews. Yeah. So if you switch it on tech on them, a lot of them will get confused. It's weird. Something I tell this to my audience. So if you're my audience, I say this, so I'm not really insulting you guys. But the audience, they only want one thing, and you can't expect too much out of them. So that's just my suggestion. Keep this interviews, keep this entertainment focused, and then have a new channel that's you talking about tech, and that channel is going to grow way bigger than this channel. Yeah. I guarantee you.
You're right in terms of the focus, for sure. I just don't know. I guess I get so stuck and fixated on the name of it. I'm like, what do I call it? What's cute and funny? I saw what the tech, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute, but it's taken. So I don't know. I get so fixated on what my channel name should be, and I don't know. So maybe if your viewers or audience have a suggestion because I've been doing little tech things on other people like gear addicts. I'll do a video on them, but I'm like, you know what? I should just do these videos for myself because I love talking about tech, love showing people the gear that I use for prosumers and consumers, and I get to go on film sets a lot. So I was like, well, why not be able to take you behind the scenes and talk about maybe some tips and tricks for editing or videos. But I just need a name for what that would be. Yeah. And then my last name is Sun. So I'm I always think sunshine something, but I'm like, I don't know if that sounds too bubbly. I don't know if I'll be taken seriously. I really get into what is my name?
Yeah.
So
wow.
I don't know. It's a lot.
So for those of you watching, we'll keep you updated on this naming process.
Yeah, please follow me on my possible second tech channel.
Exactly.
Besides my interview channel. I always think people find the interviews, not my channel. They're always like, well, people watch you for you. I'm like, no, I think people are watching me because of the people I interview. So because of that, I'm like, well, I guess I could put everything on the same channel because if they're searching other ways. But you're right in that sense where I could separate. I could probably go a lot faster and build faster, and it would be less confusing in my brain of where to put things.
Exactly. So lots of cool things to happen in the new year for everyone.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Totally.
So this is Nicki Sun, Nicki, not the other spelling. Nicki Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can follow her on Instagram, on YouTube. And
yeah,
stuff
please
like
do.
that.
I think Instagram's the best because, you know, I do videos for so many other people that I don't have time sometimes to do videos for my own.
Mm-hmm.
But Instagram, like, you know, I just did a little Instagram story of this session right here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, follow me on Instagram. I think it's a lot easier. But yeah.
Cool. Awesome, man. For those of you watching, leave a comment, press a like, share, go to her channel, etc. And, you know, I know my audience, sometimes I like to troll. Please be nice this time.
Yeah.
So, exactly.
I'm used to it.
Awesome. Cool. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.